Hey, it's Ubu, and today we're playing the demo for Cameraman, the pilot episode. And there's no main menu, it just kind of threw me into the game. I had to do a little tutorial on how to move around and stuff, and now here we are. So, kind of a weird start, but basically it's a psychological horror game where we have to manipulate time and even gravity to solve puzzles in ever-changing twisted spaces. And you can find the game on Steam. It's developed by RAA Studios, and it's self-published. And if you're not familiar with my channel, at the end of the video, I'll review the game and share my general thoughts on it. So, yeah, here we are. I guess we'll go ahead and move on. This game has pretty cool vibes so far. We got a VHS camcorder here that we're using. It's got very weird liminal space vibes, for sure. BTV. Anomaly detected. The BTV logo seems to be emitting a strange energy. Try looking at it for a few seconds.
Tonight on BTV News, the Iran-Iraq war comes to a resolution as the nation's leaders prepare for peace talks.
Okay. This is so random.
Good evening, and welcome to the 7 o'clock news. Following an increase in folks tuning in at home, BTV headquarters is currently undergoing a full redevelopment to suit viewer demand.
Okay, thank you. Well, how we end up over here? The game doesn't run very well, and there's not a lot. There's no options. I find that strange. Anyways. Oh, we have a shadow. Look at that. How do we open doors? We have a flashlight. Okay, we can't open that door. Wait, what is that? Well, there was like a white square that popped up in the top right there. You see it? Only when I'm looking in a certain direction. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. Okay, let's move on then. Can I crouch? There we go. Static outlines highlight rewindable objects in the environment. Focus on a highlighted object with your camera and use left mouse, right mouse to rewind and fast forward its motion. They seem to do the same symbol though. What is the object they're talking about? Staticky objects? What did it say? Oh, this one. I hear a door creaking open. Oh my gosh, this looks weird. I swear I heard someone else walking around. What's the point of... Maybe this is just showing me how it works. Maybe there's no point to the actual card itself. Doesn't seem to be. A red glowing door in there. Spooky. Okay. Alright, well this is weird. Oh, here we go. We just walked through. Safety warning 4. On the other side, stairs appear in strange locations, allowing you to switch your gravity. Use these to solve puzzles and traverse the level. Okay, so we go... So that would change the perspective of the room. I see. That's pretty cool, actually. I swear I keep hearing other footsteps. It's weird. Okay, so this is where we were. Okay. Oh god. We have to be careful though doing this, right? I'm not sure if we take fall damage, to be honest. I guess we'll have to find out. Well, let's just see what happens when I fall. Okay. We're safe. Pretty cool environment so far. I like the VHS filter as well. It's quite subtle and not, you know, annoying.
Due to a recent increase in job security and the appearance of many more office jobs, office appliances and supplies costs are hitting the ceiling to meet the demand. Can smaller businesses keep their heads above water in this ever-changing economic climate? Venting frustrations can be good for us. Psychologists and therapists have determined that finding a release for our pent-up frustrations can be good for the body. So, take up boxing or find a new hobby that gives you release. But whatever you do, try this vent strategy. It is a path we all should take.
All right. That's sound advice. Ah. There's definitely, like, somebody walking around. At least there sounds like... It sounds like they are? Whatever. I can't talk. Alright, where is this going? Whoa! Why? Okay, let's move this, I guess. I don't like the random footsteps. Oh, whoa, look at it go. I'm not really sure what this is telling me to do. I think I know. Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh, is this really what I think this is? Okay. Do I really need to walk on this? Alrighty then. Let me in. Hello? Who's breaking stuff? What's going on? Okay, see ya. That was pretty weird. that was a lot of... Signal weak. Wireless connection lost. I don't know what that means. That was a lot of effort just to, like, kind of walk up some steps. The heck was that? Whoa, there's a chair on the ceiling! Gravity hates us. We can zoom in. Alright, let's go.
Venting frustrations can be good for us. Psychologists and therapists have determined that finding a release for our pent-up frustrations
yeah, we heard that already.
Can be good for the body. So, take up boxing or find a new hobby that gives you release. But whatever you do, try this vent strategy. It is a path we all should take.
Oh, look, that room is gone. Okay. This chair is following us. I'm not sure if we should even, like, put this back. Does everything clips? Yeah, so it doesn't... I guess there's no point for that. At least, maybe not yet. Let's move on. Hello? Safety
New
warning.
energy reforms from the government are driving environmentalists up the wall. With spurs of anger and frustration rife within their community, is this the trigger they needed to become relevant in climate change affairs? It is not always the straightforward path that works the best. Will this switch up the wall change the gravity of the situation? There is only one way to find out. Do you feel like you're being watched? It's because you are. With the tensions of the Cold War rising, government surveillance is at an all-time high. For your average Joe, that's no problem. A little extra security never hurts. But for those of you wondering where you shouldn't, trouble could be on its way.
All right, buddy, you
Bad
tell.
news for all you coffee lovers out there. After the ravaging of lands across Vietnam during the war, the coffee fields are no more. Known for their Robusta beans, Vietnam was the second largest source of the UK's coffee beans. This will leave more than a few cafes empty, and if you're out there looking for a coffee, just be prepared to pay a higher price than usual. Chairs are the jewel of High Wycombe, a town that has been trading hub since it received its market borough status in the year 1222. Join us as we ask resident chairmaker Arthur Hughes what it truly takes to bring a chair to life. What it means to have it flow and move with the ambience of a room. Join us after the break.
All right, well, they're giving us some so very subtle hints about chairs, apparently. Apparently we need a chair. Or something. You can't do this, can you? Whoa! Whoa! I did that on accident. Did I die? I can't move. Oh, thank you for playing. What? Okay, well, I'm back in the tutorial room. This is how the game starts. Because there's no menu, I guess I'll just sit here to review the game. So I start with visuals, and then I do audio, mechanics, story and concept, performance, and then I give the game my final judgment. So visually, I quite like the game. I think it has a really nice aesthetic about it. It reminds me of a couple of liminal space games that I've played. I think it's called the Complex Expedition, and then they have another one that they did. And they actually have like a final version of that coming out. It's developed by PG Wave, I think is what their name is. So I like this game visually, and it's a good thing it reminds me of those games because they are very immersive, photorealistic games. This game has a very nice photorealism about it that I quite like in games like this, so I think it's quite effective for setting the tone and just the overall setting of the game itself. It seems as though we're maybe early 2000s or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I might be totally wrong, because it mentioned some Iraqi war stuff, but it also mentioned Vietnam, so maybe we're in the 70s, so I don't know. Anyways, not much to really say about the visuals for me personally. I like the VHS filter. I think it really helps give the game this, nice look about it, and the overall environment and level design and the way it's populated with assets and whatnot looks really good and really convincing. So yeah, no issues for me in terms of the visuals. Now, in terms of audio, I think the audio is pretty solid. You can hear in this room the humming of the lights and machinery, which I think is really good. I think it also helps with immersion, and I like the voice actor on the TV. I think he did a pretty good job. I'm not sure how important necessarily that sort of dialogue is. It seems as though he was giving me hints earlier. Maybe I was just like making that up in my head, but I like the tone that the game has because of that. It gives this interesting sort of vibe being in this like weird TV studio, to have some announcer come on and speak about things either going on in the time that we're in, or to maybe give you hints, or just overall immerse you even more into the overall setting. So I think the audio is pretty solid. One thing that I noticed in this game is that there's like no music whatsoever. It is a very quiet game other than what you're doing and walking around in and interacting with, and of course the man on the TV. So I don't know if the game would necessarily benefit from music, and maybe there are moments we'll hear something like that when we find some, do some progression or something like that in the final game. But other than that, I like that I keep hearing like doors opening and closing and someone kind of walking around. I like that as well. Apparently there's supposed to be like a bunch of anomalies and whatnot in this game, so maybe more events like that will happen, maybe more scares, something, a lot scarier may happen as we progress. I'm not really sure what to expect. Other than that, I would say audio is pretty good across the board for what this kind of game is, and appropriate for the setting that we're in and what we're doing. So good work there. In terms of mechanics, I think the mechanics are pretty interesting in this game. It gives off an odd sort of liminal space vibe about it, which I quite like. But of course we have the camcorder that can rewind or fast forward certain objects to manipulate the environment. And we can also go up and down stairs, in some manner of speaking, to manipulate the geometry of the room and where, we either are on the ceiling or on the walls or on the floor, and that can help us progress through the game. And I think it's an interesting way of making the environment a puzzle in itself, while also having items and objects that we need to manipulate to move and whatnot as well. So I think it's a good use of environmental puzzles, and I'm curious to see, what they have in store for that to go forward with. So I think it has a lot of potential to make up some very interesting sort of traversal throughout this game. So I think it's pretty cool. It's pretty straightforward from what I've experienced, but of course, maybe going down the road, there might be something a little bit more complex. I fell through the door at the end of the demo on accident. I had not thought of that. That's not what my plan was. I was just like, what happens if I fall over this edge? And then it is actually taking into account the gravity of your perspective. So I fell through the door, and then I guess I died. I assume that's the actual ending of the demo, and I didn't just die or whatever. It's strange. But obviously, we also saw some weird sort of TV afterlife or something at the end. So that was interesting as well. But anyways, mechanically, I would say the game is pretty sound, and I think it has a lot of potential, and I quite liked it. In terms of story and concept, I don't really know much of a story. This room is strange. There's a man up in a observation thing above us here, and he tells you kind of how to play the game, and then this red light, I'm not walking forwards because this red light comes on, and there's like really loud alarms that go off, and you walk through this weird door that has a 2 on it, and there's like this machine, I guess it's a Zeitlich Corporation. I'm not really sure to pronounce that, but it has sort of like a clock icon on it. So it's almost like some kind of time travel device that we're experiencing. So I think that's really cool. I'm not sure where the story will go, or they basically just tell you, like, what you need to do, like get in there and get it done or whatever. So maybe as we play the game, the story will make more sense, and it will build upon itself with the TV announcements and things of that nature. And I could see a game like this using this kind of technology as a part of their world. Different settings could be added to this game in the future, and that would be really cool, I think. So like I said, story, I'm not really sure much about it, but conceptually the game is very fascinating. In terms of performance is kind of hit or miss for me. It's a little laggy. It kind of hitches up here and there. And at the same time, there's no options for this demo, which I think the game would definitely benefit from, being able to change things like your frame rate cap, maybe some graphical settings that are maybe taxing on my computer or other people's computers, things of that nature, VSync and all that. All the options I think would be a welcome addition, even for a demo, and I find it strange that there's no main menu and there's no options for any of the performance. So I think the game could definitely use that, because it struggled a little bit here and there. I mean, the game played fine, but I definitely noticed some hitches and hitching, and some skips and stuff and weird stuff like that. So I think the game definitely needs to obviously be worked on in terms of optimization. I hope it makes sense. That's just my perspective on that. In general, performance was okay. So my final judgment for Cameraman, the pilot episode demo, is I would say it's good. I would say it's a good game. I think it has a lot of potential, and I enjoyed what I experienced here today. I very much like the way the game looks, especially. Sound design is pretty okay across the board. It is a quiet game with a lack of music or any sort of soundtrack. Even with the lack of music, I think the game and its overall sound design, I think, still does a pretty good job of immersing you, especially with the TV announcements. So I quite liked that. Story and concept, like I said, the story is kind of vague, but I do very much enjoy the concept of this game, and it's very interesting. I like the puzzles and whatnot as well, so cool stuff. And like I said, performance needs a little bit of work, but obviously that can be done over time. This is just a demo, so obviously not the final product. Overall, I would say it's a good game and a fun experience, even if it's very short. It is a very, very short demo, and maybe, like I said, I ended it incorrectly, or maybe there's other endings that you can get that I just didn't understand or something. I'm not really sure, but very short demo. I hope to see more from them, and maybe do a bigger demo or something of that nature, or maybe something a little bit more optimized. I think it would do them a lot of good. Anyways, I wish you the best of luck on your future endeavors and your work. Anyways, tell me what you think in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you agree or disagree with me? Do you have anything to add? Do you just want to say hi? Let me know what's up. And don't forget to check the pinned comment below for the links to everything. Go play this game for yourself and form your own opinion, and tell the developer what you think. I'm sure they really appreciate your feedback as well as mine. Also, if you want to support my channel and what I do here, hit subscribe, leave a like, comment, and share the video. I'd really appreciate your support. And also, check the description for the timestamps and also links to my socials if that interests you. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I think that's all I have to say about it. So thanks for hanging out with me. And don't forget the pale moth. is always watching.